What's going on, fellas?
Nate.
That's me.
Rob. What's up, buddy?
Jim, it's good to see you.
Yeah, Rob, where have you been the last 3 hours?
Kind of good to see you.
Kind of. Yeah.
Savage. Harsh. But fair.
But fair.
So we are going to start sharing. Y'all should start sharing, because if not, I get really sad. But fair. And then I start crying, and it doesn't make for very good shows when you're just sitting around crying the whole time. Y'all should start sharing. Whoa.
That was me. It won't let me do anything. It'll only let me. Oh, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, what?
Something's going on here.
I don't understand. What's happening?
Oh, I'm going now. I'm good now. Go. Yeah, you just talk amongst yourselves. It's fine.
Well, I don't know why Rob's so quiet. Why is Rob so quiet today? It's like he doesn't want to talk.
What are we talking about today, fellers? Give me
We're going to be talking a lot about
since
the
I have
Moscone
no
Cup.
script, and we wing every one of these since day one.
Rob, we don't
give
need
me
a
an
script.
idea.
We're so good at BSing that we don't need one.
Shall we do some Moscone Cup stuff, shall we?
We're going to be talking a whole bunch about the Moscone Cup today, because really, I mean, we could talk about the Austria Open, but really that has huge ramifications on the Moscone Cup.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen happen in a pool hall?
Nate win the match.
No, that's never happened. I almost did.
I've never seen that, actually.
Yeah, I almost won a match in a pool hall, and then I woke up. I was right about to win, and then I woke up. So it was a good dream.
You suck.
Savage. No, I think that's an interesting question. Jim, do you have anything that jumps to mind?
It was in the middle of a tournament, a 9-ball tournament, and the fella that I was playing was a little bit angry. And when you're angry, you kind of slam the balls down on the table when you're racking them. This was when your opponents actually racked for you. And so he was doing that, and then he grabbed the rack to put in the balls, and instead of putting it over the balls, he threw it on the table. And the rack bounced off of that table over the end of the light and landed in the middle of a game that was going on, a 9-ball game that was going on between two other players in the tournament, and knocked a bunch of their balls around.
No,
that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy.
I've seen somebody getting hit in the head by a cue ball that flew off another table from the break.
I've seen somebody get hit
many times, I'm sure.
I've seen somebody get hit in the nuts from it, and his nuts did not thank him. Wait.
Yeah. That kind of stuff is accidental.
In Vegas this year, this one kind of jumps to mind. In Vegas this year, it was I was watching this guy, and he was like, I think he was playing in a mini tournament. He was just being like one of those piss ants that, anything goes wrong, and it's just like, and he breaks the balls, and the cue ball goes shooting straight off the table at like 95 miles an hour. The rack barely moved. So all of the force stayed in the cue ball, and it goes flying across the room, and it's this giant open ballroom. And the guy kind of takes a look at it and just goes back and sits down and lets his opponents run over to the other side of the room and find it. He shoots the cue ball off the table and then makes his opponent go find the cue ball.
Nice.
Well, I don't know who Jay Stager is.
That's really sad.
But I want to go to his pool hall. Apparently, a drunk driver drove into the pool hall and killed the cook.
No.
Yeah. They don't see that every day.
No. Was it Cookie?
Yeah, nobody would. Yeah, that'd be fine. You get away with that.
Yeah. You might even get an award. You might.
Yeah, that would be allowed. Yeah.
Yes. That's actually really sad, though, man.
That is quite sad for the cook.
You're just halfway through your shift. You're thinking about going home and getting a nice relaxing time on, and boom.
Imagine if you just ordered a burger.
Yeah. Well, I saw a owner of a pool room who actually got hustled by another guy who came in, and he got so angry. This was after a couple hours when he had to pay him. He had the cue ball in his right hand, and he threw it into the kitchen, which was about 20 feet away. And all I heard was the cue ball banging off of stainless steel cabinets in the other room, and people yelling. Of course, people were in there cooking and stuff. And thought that was wow. He kind of lost it there a little.
Yeah. Well, we are here. We're going to be talking a lot about the Moscone Cup today. So if you guys are tuning in, please share the stream, get it out there. We'll say hello to Eves and Kyle and Ronnie Rose. Thank you guys for throwing something out in the chat there. And
Mr. Pickles.
Yeah,
Mr.
we're gonna be like super casual today. So we don't have a lot to talk about in the pool world. There's a lot of stuff there's a few things that have been canceled. And really the only big event that we can talk about is the Austria Open and how crazy Jim is right now. He's wearing a Limp Bizkit hat. He told us that story, and then we canceled it because we didn't want to let him tell stories.
It's an official Fred Durst hat. It's Limp Bizkit. It's the real deal. It's never been outside. I've had it for 20 years.
So it's not Lil Bizkit? It's not like Cheryl Baglin?
Nope. It's not Lil Bizkit. It's Limp Bizkit.
Wow.
Yeah, this was Fred Durst's hat. True story. True story.
So we're going to get started. And I guess, is there a better way to start than maybe looking at the Austria Open, the finals matchup, and seeing Eklund Kachi beating Tyler Steyer in the finals of that? And how can that not? Well, we're going to start. Let's start from the European side. Does that book Eklund's? So we have right now Albin Ocean and David Al-Qaidi are locked into Team Europe's team. Does this lock Eklund into the team, Jim? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm not sure if Alex Lilly has put his 3 picks in already to Matchroom and we just haven't heard about it yet. It gives him something to think about. I mean, you can't ignore the fact that Eklund in the last month or so has snapped off the 10-ball World Championships, and now the Austrian Open, when it's short races to 4, it's still rotation. Okay, the break's not in it. I mean, as far as the USA go, I think this is a good time for Tyler to go deep and get to the final. We're talking about Tyler's possible Moscone Cup. But he hasn't really shown much recently, but he did there. Was that enough to get Tyler in? If that's enough, is it a push for Eklund as well? I think it gives Alex a little bit of a headache if he hasn't made his picks yet. I mean, I'm assuming that we can count on Joshua Filla and Jason Shaw being 2 picks. So then he has one more. So he's one more. Is this, does this confirm for him that it should be Kachi, or does this make him think twice about whoever he already thought might be number 5? Difficult to say. Great result for Kachi, a great result for Tyler there. I don't know. I really don't know. It's the same old story with Kachi. We all know he's a great player. He's one of the best in the world, but does he function properly in a team atmosphere? And there's doubts about that. And I personally have my doubts about whether or not Eklund himself is willing to accept that there may be issues there. I think he feels there aren't any issues. So if a coach or other team members think that there might be issues, then you don't get anywhere in that situation, we will see. I guess we will see. It's not my decision.
A little like being married.
A little bit like being married. Yeah. That's. I mean, I believe that he doesn't function badly in a team, but he's not the ideal team player, shall we say? He's very within himself. He's very an individual kind of guy. I think he likes to spend more time on his Instagram account than he does maybe perhaps socializing or talking with other players and stuff like that. He's a very confident guy. He believes in his own ability. But I think when you're in a team atmosphere, you have to be able to, to accept perhaps advice from other people around you, and also be willing to tell the other 4 guys how great they are, rather than only concentrating on how great you are. And I think that's.
I guess let's put it this way. Oh, actually, first off, we have 40 people watching this stream right now. Let's hear who you guys want to round out Europe. Just Europe. We're going to talk about America in a little bit, but just Europe. David Al-Qaidi and Albin Ocean already locked in. Who do you think should be the last 3? My personal vote is for Jim, and Jim. No, okay. So let's does this lock? So the question is, does this lock Eklund Kachi in?
I don't think it locks him in. No, I think it makes it. I am of the opinion that it was Federer. Now, whether or not this is now, put the cat amongst the pigeons and made Alex think twice about it. I mean, can you leave your world 10-ball champion at home when he just wins this last event here?
Well, I'll tell you what.
I personally would still go. If it was my choice, I would still go for Filler, Shaw, and Gorst. That would just be my choice, just purely out of the feel and the team dynamic and stuff like that. Yep. Nothing against Clenny. I think he's a fantastic player. I really like the kid. I just feel that he needs to be open to constructive criticism and open to advice, and I'm not sure if he really is, to be honest.
Yeah. So I think. Most people are saying Fedor, Filler, and Shaw. That seems to be the consensus. I actually agree with that. So how tough is it going to be for, if that is the case, Fedor, for example, what does Fedor have on the resume this year that warrants him being in there? Because you can look at Kachi, and Kachi has won the World Pool 10 ball. He's also won now the Austria Open, and he went deep in a lot of other tournaments. Mm-hmm. If you look at Alex Kazakis has made a couple deep runs in a couple tournaments, but he also won the World Pool Masters on 2 1/8 inch pockets. Those things were tiny. All joking. Those were 4-inch pockets there?
4 1/4, right?
4 1/4.
The Masters were.
They were tight.
4, I think they were.
I think they might have been 4. I think they might have been 4. 4 or 4 1/4, yeah. They were tight. They were really tight. So David Al-Qaedi got in because he was a lock from the points. So David Al-Qaedi has the most scoring points. Although there's a little bit of so Cody's saying they're 4-inch pockets. I thought they were too. So David Al-Qaedi was the highest rated player as far as the matchroom points. And that guarantees him a spot in. Although there's a little bit of, I guess, controversy around it because Max Leshner was just behind him, and he was not able to play in the Championship League pool because he wasn't invited. So if he would have been there, he would have been guaranteed enough points to get into the Moscone Cup ahead of David Al-Qaedi. But since he didn't get it, he didn't get in. So I don't know. Do you think Max Leshner is playing better than David Al-Qaedi right now, Jim? If you could pick one of those players, who would you pick?
The question should be, do I think that Max Lechner would play better than David Al-Qaeda at the Moscone Cup? Is the question you should be asking. Yep. My answer is no.
Okay.
I cannot. If I had to bet on who would play better, I would bet on Al-Qaeda. Simple as that. And that's what Alex Lely does. That's what a good Moscone Cup captain does. They have a look and see. It's not so much about who's playing the best at the moment. Who is going to perform for me under that situation? And Alex wants to have 5 players that are known Moscone Cup players. He wants to have 5 guys that have shown they can do it before. I'm not saying Lechner can't do it. There's a ton of European players who would probably perform very, very well under those Moscone lights. But if you're the captain for that period of time, you're going to go with your safe bets. If you have the option of taking your safe bets, you're going to take your safe bets. Yeah. Simple as that. And I just want to answer something. There was a question came up here from Cameron Cox, and I see this a lot on Facebook. And it's a question that surprises me that it keeps coming up because it seems to me very, very obvious. Now, the reason Jason Shaw can't play for the United States of America is simply because he's not American. Where you live has never and will never dictate your nationality in any sport whatsoever. When you're playing in a sport, your nationality is your nationality. What passport do you carry? I don't know if you guys watch soccer, but I'm sure you've all heard of Lionel Messi. One of the biggest names in world football ever. He's now playing.
Argentina.
Yeah, Argentinian. He's Argentinian. Now, he's been playing in Spain with Barcelona for all his career. Has anybody seen him play for Spain internationally? No, he still plays for Argentina. He's now moved to France, and he's now playing for Paris Saint-Germain in France. Do you think he'll be playing for France No, of course. He still plays for Argentina. So Jason Shaw is Scottish, and he will always be Scottish until he renounces his nationality in the UK and takes a nationality of somewhere else, which he's not done. He's not going to do, as far as I'm aware. And if he did, the first phone call he would get would be from me. And after talking to me for 5 minutes, he'd reverse it again, and he'd still be playing for Europe. So you can give up the idea of Jason Shaw ever playing for America just because he lives in America. Can't happen, won't happen. It's a silly question, really. But anyway, back to the whole, what were you saying, Nate?
Yeah. I'm just reading Joe Dunn's comments and trying not to laugh. Once I manscaped my game, came up at least 1 to 2 balls.
Yeah. I'll tell you, you increase your Fargo, get that lawnmower. Your ladies will thank you.
Yep, that's a thing. Today, actually, we're going to talk about this later. You guys are going to get to see a sweet ad. But today is going to be actually the last day that you have the opportunity to get yourself one of these awesome Manscaped 4.0s. And it will actually help us a ton as far as getting outside money into the game of pool, into this podcast. So you guys should do that. You guys should definitely do that. You should go get that right now. Go to manscaped.com, type in Cue It Up Pod, and you can get yourself an amazing lawnmower 4.0 and support the show. All right. So anyways, I guess let's put that question to you, Rob. What do you think? Do you think Max Leshner or David Al-Qaidi?
David has been one of my favorite players for a long time. Been playing great pool for years. He's certainly got the experience. And although Lechner had a matchroom good showing there for sure, and has been playing well. Experience-wise, I don't think there's a comparison between the two. That Al-Qaedi's got to be the go-to guy there between the two. Not saying that Max won't have a chance in the future sometime, and down the road 2-3 years from now, who knows what's going to happen. He's certainly a rising star in the game. I believe that for sure. There's no question there. But there's so many Europeans that are. I'd very much like to see that in the USA. We do have some rising stars. They're women in the USA, but not too many young men currently. Not like Max.
Well, yeah, I think
Akachi and that's a great case to be made for this last win. I mean, look who he beat. What was his? Do you know what his draw was like in that this last event? The Austria Open was. Did he beat some monsters in it, or was it not a hard?
Well, I know he beat Wojtek Szczepczak in the first round of the final 8. So that's.
Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about? Tyler or Kachi?
Kachi. Yeah, Kachi.
He beat Tyler in the final. Semi-final, he beat. I can't remember.
Oh, I'll pull it up.
Why don't you pull that up?
But you do have during the Austrian Open, there was also the junior.
Yes.
The junior world 9-ball, and you've got a young kid there that seemed to do pretty well. Young American Hawks,
right?
Moritz Hawks.
Well, we had a girl too, Alice Lavelle, she's just from my neck of the woods here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, very close to you, right?
Over there in Austria.
And while we're on the subject of that, I'd like to give a shout out to the Dutch kid. I know him quite well, Yannick Pongers, who got to the final of the juniors. Played really well. Got beat by Neuhausen, who's an absolute monster. Watch out for this kid, Neuhausen. He caused Jason some trouble at the World 9-ball in the first round.
Where's he from?
Germany. What a monster this kid's going to be.
Okay.
And so he won it. But shout out to Yannick Pongers, young Dutch lad. Well done. He's improved a lot over the last couple of years. And also in the Austrian Open, the semi-final. Young Dutch kid got to semi-final. Jan van Lierop lost to Tyler in a shootout. Probably should have beat Tyler, to be honest. And so he's a little bit of a breakthrough for him. So congratulations to Jan as well. Well done.
The spot shot shootout?
Yeah. Suits certain players more than others. It's a big advantage for some players.
I believe
it's a massive advantage for some players.
Yes.
Kachi beat Tyler in the finals, Solnaki in the semis. Solfi in the quarters, and then in the round of 8, or the last 8, he beat Wojtek Szczepczak. And he also beat Mark Biesterbosch in that tournament.
Yeah.
So
no No 800 Fargos in there, but good players. Yeah, dangerous players. Yeah.
Wojtek Szczepczek is an 800 Fargo.
Oh, he is, isn't he? I keep forgetting.
Yeah, he's like an 804. I think 802.
Sorry, Wojtek, if you're watching.
I harassed him a whole bunch last night.
You're like his worst stalker.
I know. I regret nothing.
Dude, you like stalk him and tell him how awesome he is, and then the first opportunity you get, you announce somebody else as your favorite player. It's like you're the worst stalker ever. You know?
That's not true. He's my favorite. He's always been my favorite.
Oh, he is now, is he? Okay.
Yeah, I have a Poland. I have an official Team Poland jersey of his.
Nate, do you give the Manscaped to some of your idols in the pool world?
No, he lets you. He doesn't give them one. He lets them borrow his.
Yeah, and then I never use it again.
Yeah,
and then he collects
twining of the pubes.
That's it. He collects the pubes in little jars with their names on them.
Puts names on them. Yes. Hey, there you go, Nate. Send your 4.0 out to every pool idol you have.
That's it.
And then just
he's going to be selling
some of the pubes when they return.
I do send them to my idols. That's why you two have them. Wait, sorry.
So Nate,
what's up?
Who do you think? Do you think we talked about catch there? Do you now think that Tyler? Was that enough for Tyler to guarantee his spot?
Oh, well, let's finish up with Europe first before we go over to the US, so we can stay nice and organized. I guess so. Let's hear everybody's picks. If you have Albin and David are already locked in, who are your other three, Rob?
Boy, I think very possibly it's between Filler and Kachi for that spot. Shad, yeah, okay. We got to go there for sure.
So you have Jason,
Fedor,
David Al-Qaedi, Albin,
pretty much,
and then Fedor. You have Fedor and Kachi then. So Fedor and who do you have in there? Filler. Yeah, Joshua Filler's your number 4.
I'm torn between Kachi's showing us something here. He's got his balls love him, whether he has the 4.0 or not, because he's got a set. He's showing it, And as far as Tyler goes, Tyler should have been on a Moscone Cup every year, just for his stewardship of the game. Period.
Yeah. All right. So Jim, who do you got on Europe then? Who are your last 3? Great.
Well, I just want to say that out of all the players, Kachi's probably playing the best pool at the moment.
Anybody.
He's playing better than Filler's been playing. Filler and Federer have been over in the States and they've just been battling. It's very difficult to judge what kind of level they're playing at because they're just continually in there and you don't really get to see it. They're not like the massive tournaments going on at the moment that you would expect. But I think Kachi is the one that's really is achieving at the moment. It really is pulling out the results. However, like I said, Mosconi is Mosconi. It's something different. It's not always about who's playing the best right at this moment. So my number 3 would always be Jason. I'm a little bit biased towards Jason anyway, but just what he brings off the table as well, what he brings to the crowd, to the atmosphere, how people get behind him, how they get behind the team when he's on the team.
His energy.
He's an energy player. Other players actually listen to Jason. There was a video that went around not so long ago of Jason sitting with Skylar at a tournament, and he was giving Sky tips on how to break. And Sky was looking at him as if he was this god kind of thing. And he's got his arm, he's going, yeah, like this. Yeah. And then Jason said to him at the end, he says, but just remember, forget about this conversation next time we play each other. So,
yeah, right.
Jason is willing to share the knowledge he has, and players listen to him. It doesn't matter who they are. They just sit there and look at him like, okay, yeah. He has that kind of aura already. He has that kind of aura. And I think he brings that to the practice room as well. And he can talk to an Albin. He can talk to a Filler. He can talk to an Al-Qaeda and say, listen, maybe you want to try this, switch this up. This is a better place to break. And they listen to him. They do. Yeah. I think Fedor does as well. I don't think Kachi does. That's just my opinion. I think Kachi feels, no, I'll do it my way. And and he has every right to feel that way because he is a great player. He's an absolute monster. He's won big tournaments. He's got every right to think that. But I just feel that when you're in that team atmosphere, that it has to be your team. You have to be able to, if one guy's going out there to battle, you need the other 4 guys up behind him saying, you know what, you're the best in the world. You've won this, you've done that, you've won this many Moscone Cups, you're a world champion. You need your other 4 guys giving it that. And I think Kachi still sort of sits behind and says, well, yeah, but I'm still better than everybody. And I might be completely wrong. That's just a kind of a little bit the impression I get at the moment. So I'd be going with Shaw. Filler, you have to put in. Moscone's made for him. He's made for Moscone. You know, it's just what he does. You know, he's just quick fire. He can finish off.
He should be about as locked in as Shane at this point.
Exactly. You. I mean, if you know how to work the schedule well, you can have Filler in 3 matches in a row, say 2 doubles and a single, or even 4 matches if you get the singles the right way round, and he could blast off those 4 points within about an hour and a half and just blow the whole match wide open. That's the kind of player he is. So you got to have Filler in there, and I'd go with Federer. I would go with Federer just purely based on, I think it's just would be easier for the rest of the team with Filler there, with Federer there, and I think it'd be easier for Alex as well.
Kachi gets the boot.
Unfortunately, yes, I think this year, I think it might actually not be a bad thing for Kachi to miss out a year and to maybe realize it. Maybe I need to listen a little bit. Maybe it's not all about just what I do on my own. You know, when I'm at other tournaments, I need to be more involved in other players and how other people are, you know.
Yep.
It's very difficult. It's an individual sport, and then once a year you're asked to play in a team.
Yep.
It's not
so
easy.
If I say so the question for me comes down to 2 things: who deserves to be on the Moscone Cup, and if I'm answering who deserves to be on the Moscone Cup, my Moscone Cup is Albin, David. They're locked in already. Alex Kazakis, Joshua Filler, and Eklund Kachi. Jason goes bye-bye for me because if you just talk about who deserves it, Jason hasn't won anything yet this year. Nothing huge. I mean, you won a big bar table or a bar table tournament, and Alex Kazakis won the Whirlpool Masters. I mean, how can you have the current Whirlpool Master not in the event? But if you ask me, if I'm Alex Lely and I have picks and I'm going to pick who I think is going to make the best team, it's going to be the exact team that you picked, Jim.
Yeah, that's it, and that's what you have to do as a captain. You have to pick the team that you think is going to give you the best chance of winning.
Yep, I think it's Filler, Jason, Fedor, David, and Albin. I think that's the team right there.
My question to you is: how far back do you go with achievements that warrant you deserving to be in the Moscone Cup? How far back do you go?
In current day and age or normally? Because I think with COVID, I think we need to go back a little bit further than what we normally would.
Okay, so Jason Shaw MVP in the Moscone Cup.
Yep. That would be his claim. That would be it.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Proving that you do it under those, proving that you step up and you be that guy when you need to be that guy. And
the only thing
that 5 years
is what's worth it, you know.
The only question then that we would have would be at what point in time, you know, how much should previous results matter in future expectations, right? Because whatever you want to say about Jason Shaw prior to last year, he had underachieved based off of his game for a lot of years, but he still got the opportunities, right? Yeah. So if we didn't hold that against him up until last year, should we give him credit for it now? And it's not like he played terrible in the past. I mean, I'm not trying to say that he's like a donkey out there just shooting balls into the rail. But as far as Jason Shaw's skills and what he brings to the table, he did not put it on full display until last year.
Jason didn't fall into the whole Moscone thing naturally, in my opinion, the first couple of years. You have to find a balance here between being the showman and actually doing your job and working. And I think in the first couple of years, Jason fell a little bit too much towards getting the crowd going and being the flag waver rather than concentrating on what he does best, which is potting balls and running racks. Yep. And I think it took him a couple of years to find that balance.
Well, luckily, Filler came in and took that job over, so he didn't have to.
But he shared the responsibility with him.
No, I'm talking about like just being the hoorah guy. Kind of the fan villain, the crowd villain.
It's all about growing up a little bit. Filler also needs to share that responsibility. He can't have it all on his shoulders. You saw how it affected him when it didn't go well. You know, he felt like it was all on his shoulders. So he needs to share that responsibility as well. And It's like you say. I mean, if you're the cap, I've said for many years, if you could make me the captain of Team Europe and give me 5 wild cards, and I'll pick a team that USA can't beat. And it's as simple as that. And it won't be about who's playing the best at the moment. There are certain players that you know will fit together, that you know you can put together. And there is a core of players over the last 5 years who you can put in any sort of selection, and they're going to be massive favourites. And your Albans, your Jason Shaws, your Joshua Filler, the 3 of them are just there, and you can stick another 2 players with them, and you're going to have a team that's
you can throw Jim and me in there, and we're just.
Well, you could. You could always put a dead donkey in there. If you stuck the 3 of them with one other, with another, with a Feather or a Kachi or whoever, Al Qaeda. You could almost put a dead point in there, and it will still, just be a close match.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Who picks who's going to pick the team?
Alex
who picks the captain?
Who picks the captain?
You apply for it in Matchroom. The Matchroom, I think maybe you just do an online interview, and Matchroom decide if you get the job or not, I guess.
So you could be the captain of the European team, Jim. It's possible, correct?
There's no rule that says I can't be, other than that whether or not Matchroom would find it a good idea or not, or whether I would find it a good idea. Yeah, I'd have to apply for it, but
you would not find it a good idea. You wouldn't be able to get drunk.
Well, what I will say is I don't think it has to be a pool player. I really don't think it has to be a pool player.
Johan's not. Johan's not a pool player.
No, he's been around the pool a long time. He's got a lot of.
So you kind of have to be nominated by somebody.
You apply for the job, and you're given it like applying for any other job.
So if an individual wants to do it, they write Matchroom.
As far as I'm aware, you just write an application, and you'll be considered or not considered. Yeah.
Interesting.
And the way that it is now, that it seems to be the new way, that a captain and a vice captain. I think you split that between somebody, between a pool player and somebody who's good with the team dynamic and with mental preparation and stuff like that, and you've got a winning team there. Simple as that. And to be honest, you don't really need to say much to these guys to get you shouldn't have to say much to them to get them motivated. They should just be ready to go out and do a job, and all you need to do is just make sure that when they go out there, they're ready to perform the best that they can at that moment. That's all you can do, really.
Sure.
Yep. Easy as that.
Yep.
So I guess that is our discussion for Team Europe. But I guess I wanted to have one more discussion, I think, before we move on. And Jim, and you know what, Rob, if you've heard of some of these players, feel free to jump in too. I'm going to say it. I'm going to just basically say a European player's name, and you're going to answer with yes or no. If you want to expand upon it, you can. But the yes or no as to whether or not they are ever going to make a Moscone Cup. Ever.
Okay.
Ready? You ready, Rob?
Ready.
If you want to partake in this, go ahead. Dennis Graba.
Yes.
Yes.
Mieszko Fortunski.
No.
Yes.
Konrad Juszczyzn.
No.
Yes.
Pius Labutis.
No.
No.
Mark Biesterbosch.
No.
No.
Wojtek Szewczak.
No.
No.
Again, Chris Smelling.
Ooh. No.
Yes.
Francisco Sanchez Ruiz.
Yes.
Yes.
See, there's 5 spots per year, fellas. Mario He.
Ooh. Yes.
No.
Max Lechner.
No.
No.
Again, Niels Fine.
Oh, you horrible man.
Oh,
Niels might be watching.
That is brutal. That is brutal. No.
No.
Again,
But
Alex.
what does it? Oh, wait a minute. Does he have to play in a Moscone Cup?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, he would be. I don't know if he'd make a good coach. He never wanted to be the center of it. He never wanted to be the leader during the Moscone Cups. We
I'm
can
not
talk
sure.
about that.
I'm not sure if he'd ever be the coach, but I could see him being a vice captain on the mental side of it.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, Alex Kazakis.
Yes.
Yes.
Victor Zolnacki.
Victor Zolnacki. You mean Oliver Zolnacki, or do you mean Victor Zielinski?
Shit, Victor Zielinski.
I've been waiting. You've gone through every single Polish player I've been waiting for him. Victor Zielinski, 100% yes.
Yes.
Oliver Solnacki.
No.
Ooh, I think Oliver will. I think Oliver is.
You think he's going to be top 3 in the world within 2 years?
I do. I think he's going to be the next. I think he's going to be the next great European player. I do. I really do. I think that goes through most. Sanjin Pelavanovic.
Yes.
Wow.
No idea.
He's 20.
He's got a lot of years ahead of him. A lot of the players that are great players that you've mentioned don't have that long ahead of them, really, compared to these young guys, you know. So the chances of them getting in are smaller. It's just so difficult, you know. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, if it gets back to the situation it was before, where there's 3 qualifying spots and 2 wild cards, then it's open for a hell of a lot of players. There's a lot of players who can get in there when there's 3 qualifying spots. What I will say is, of all the players that you mentioned there, the ones that are rookies that haven't been in, you ain't getting a wild card.
Yep.
It's just not the way it works now. Doesn't matter how good you're playing, you're not going to get a wild card as a rookie. You better qualify and prove yourself on that table before you get back in as a wild card. Simple as that.
So then the last 2, Darren Appleton.
Not as a player.
And then the last question.
Not as a player.
And then the last question: will Jason Shaw win another MVP again?
Ever again?
Ever again? Yep.
Of course he will, you idiot.
Yeah.
Of course he will.
Okay.
How can he not?
Yeah.
There's still 10 players.
No, it's not. There's only 5 because only the MVP only comes from the winning team. There's only 5.
So there it is. It's
isn't there the LVP?
No.
No?
I think it'd be MVL though.
Okay.
So then the question,
Yeah.
every single one of those players that I named, the ones that you said yes and the ones you said no to, do any of them not make Team USA if they were the only ones right now today, every single year?
Every single one of them makes it. Yeah.
I have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Every single one of them.
At least
makes
for
their team
two of
this
the
year.
2 of the 5 spots, for sure. If not all 5 spots.
Well, I mean, you can also look at it the other way. You can also look at it the other way around. If Europe could pick as many players as they wanted from Team USA, how many of your players would get in to the European team?
1.
Yeah.
Maybe 1. With the track record record that Shane's had, he might not make the team.
No, and I was going to say, how many has he played in a row now?
Oh, 15, 16.
If he was European, he wouldn't have played 15 or 16 in a row.
No. Yep.
He'd have missed out on some of those years. Yeah.
I bet he'd have still played in about 8 or 9 in a row.
Yes, but he'd have missed out on years in Team Europe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Although in saying that, he'd have a much better record at the Moscone Cup if he was playing against the American players.
Yeah, that's fair
as well.
That's a real thing.
True. Yeah.
So I guess let's move over to the U.S. side. Does this lock Tyler into the Moscone Cup? Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it should. It should be just another reason. He's also performed in some of the other tournaments, not badly.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tyler's really struggled this year, and he'll be the first person to admit it. He's played worse this year than he has in the last 5 years.
A little bit, I'd say, maybe. But you know what? He's got the heart of a lion. I mean, I think he should be on the team just because he is a true professional of pocket pool. A true professional in every regard, every aspect of the game. Not just his play on the table. His personality.
Yep. I should say the context. Shane and Sky have been announced as being on the team. I was really surprised by that. I'm sure many of you were as well. Sarcasm. So we're looking for 3 spots on the U.S. side. Jim, what do you think? Does this lock Tyler in?
First of all, I had a conversation the other day. I was playing in team competition on Sunday. We were actually watching the young Dutch kid playing in the semi-finals of the World Juniors, and we had the conversation about how good this kid can be. And I said, well, he's at that age now where he's going to start getting distracted by parties, alcohol, girls.
Tyler?
No, this young kid, girls, women. Okay. It all becomes a distraction. Now, we all know Tyler. Tyler and Margaret have got together quite recently. They've had a busy time, they're getting married. It's, young love, it's a distraction, and Tyler might say that it's not, but trust me, it is. Your 5 days a week, 3 hours a day practices turn around to 4 or 3 days, and then you just stay for 2 hours, or your girlfriend comes along. Now, he's got the advantage where it is a pool playing partnership that they have,
That's huge.
Relationship. But it will have had a little bit of an effect. But they talk about timing. This was when you talk about timing, that was about as good a time for Tyler to actually perform in a tournament, and it to be short races.
Let me jump in really quickly. Let me jump in really quickly, because this was the most obvious thing that you could have ever said. Like, if you would have given me 10-1 odds that Tyler would not have made the finals, I wouldn't have taken it. Think about this. He hasn't seen Margaret in how long? He hasn't seen her, like, let's just say 4 months. That he gets to see her, that testosterone goes up just a little bit, that swagger goes up just a little bit, that confidence goes up just a little bit. And he's been in a slump for how long now? And he's got all of these things working for him. Of course he's going to make the finals. His confidence hasn't been higher in 4 months. Of course.
Listen, if I don't see my wife for 6 months, you ain't getting me out of bed for any tournament.
Yes, you haven't been married for like 20 years. You don't even love each other.
It doesn't matter if it's the final of the World Championships. You ain't getting me out of my bed in the morning. I'm sitting in there. I'm having breakfast in bed. I'm with the missus for the first time in 6 weeks. Testosterone. I'm getting rid of a lot of pent up energy, and it's not on the pool table. Trust me.
This is the most obvious thing that I've like. Of course, he's going to make the finals. His confidence has never been higher because he's got Margaret around. He's never been higher.
I think it's a plus for him having her all the way.
Yep. So, but now his confidence has got to be through the roof. And what's anybody else done? If you're Jeremy Jones, and you're looking around and saying, "What of the rest of my potential players?"
Justin Bergman beat a 543 Fargo, giving him 19 games to 22 and a hole-in-the-wall bar in Illinois. That's pretty good.
Well done. That'll get you in. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Does that count?
No. So who else has done it? Yeah. I mean,
Billy isn't playing. Billy hasn't played since the U.S. Open.
What about Alex?
Alex.
Oh, he's Alex Canadian, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are shouting for North America.
Yeah, well, they are. Sky hasn't been playing since the U.S. Open. Shane hasn't played since the U.S. Open. Sky hasn't played since the U.S. Open. Billy Thorpe hasn't played since the U.S. Open. I haven't seen Danny Olson, although he did win a tournament, I think in Wyoming or something a couple weeks ago. But
what about Oscar?
I haven't seen Oscar play since the U.S. Open. I would like to see Oscar on the team, though. I would love to see him on the team. I think that we got to stop. At some point in time, we got to stop digging deeper into the crop of American players, and we just got to start taking some that are still at the top that haven't gotten an opportunity for a while.
To me, it seems like there's 2 players out there who are actually working and are actually on the table and are actually playing. They're actually on their social media. They're grinding. They're trying to get results. And that's the only 2 that it seems to me is Chris and Tyler. They seem to be the only ones that are actually out there doing anything. The rest just seem to be, I don't know, bumming around, waiting for the next.
Devin Poteet. There's a couple smaller, like Devin.
You can't go that. You can't go as far as Devin Poteet.
Yes. And Justin Espinosa, like he flies under the radar, but he's playing some really top pool right now.
But you can't
not
go as
Moscone Cup quality. Not Moscone Cup quality.
Tony Choen gets in before they do.
Yes, I just want, like, if you're gonna say that, like, if you're gonna say that they're the only players that are on social media and practicing and putting the time in, I at least want to give a shout out to those two as well, because they really are.
Yeah, okay. I was referring
As
to
far as
previous.
quality, okay.
I was referring to previous Moscone Cup players who you would think that you would go for if you're going to pick somebody, you'd go for somebody that's already been there.
Yes.
You know, if you don't have somebody that's standing out as a top player at the moment, then you're going to take somebody who's got the experience. Yep. Okay, so that's why those players were not on my radar as far as this conversation.
So I think we're all in agreement.
I think Tyler should. I just think it's a good look. It's a good look, and it sets an example to the young American players that you will be rewarded if you act like a professional, regardless of if you're winning world titles.
And regardless if the people on your team hate you because you are like
exactly. If you act like a professional and you do the right things, you'll be rewarded for it. As simple as that. And Tyler deserves to be in that team, because he's a proper professional pool player and he does the right things. He works his ass off. He might not be the most talented. He might not be the best player in America. He might never win a world title or ever get up into the 810, 820 Fargos. But he deserves to be rewarded for how much work he puts into the game. He puts in a hell of a lot of work than players that are better than him are just lucky that they're living off their talent and really don't deserve anything free. Especially, let's be honest, the Moscone Cup is a little bit of a freebie. It's basically you're getting picked, you go there, you're going to win money whether you win or not. It is a little bit of a kind of a thank you or a well done for the last year, and Tyler should be rewarded for what he's done. And he's performed this week and nobody else is performing. So give the kid a fucking break and put him in the team. Sorry, excuse me.
So you think we got Sky, Shane, and Tyler. Where is the rest of the team coming from?
Yeah, okay, that's a different one.
now we can branch into that, because let's branch into that now, because I agree with everything Jim just said. I think Tyler should be on there every single year. I'm biased. I like Tyler. We grew up playing together. I agree. Tyler should be on the team. Now, with that being said, where do we go from here? There was some discussions as to whether or not Billy was going to be eligible. I still have not heard on that, so I don't really know. Does he deserve to get on, even if that isn't the case? What has Billy Thorpe done this year that warrants a spot outside of him just playing every single year, basically? Can anybody come up with an argument for Billy?
But let Rob go first.
Go ahead, Rob.
What's that, Billy? Why he isn't going to play, or what? What do you ask?
Well, basically, what do you think about Billy? That's where we're starting. Billy Thorpe. Yeah. Billy Thorpe, yes or no?
Yes.
Why?
Talent.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
He's
Jim?
talented. He's a talented pool player, and he's fiery. He does have a little fire. He's got a little Jason Shaw in him.
I was going to say exactly the same.
There's nobody better with the crowd than him. Nobody is better with the crowd.
He brings to Team USA what Jason brings to Team Europe, and you have to have a player like that in your team. You have to have a player like that in your team. If you've got a Shane, a Sky, as much as Skyler does do a little bit, he bounces off Billy a lot. It's Billy that gets him going, and that gets Tyler gets Sky started. If you're talking about Shane, Skyler, and Tyler, who's going to create that atmosphere? You need a Billy Thorpe in there. You need a Billy, and especially if your number 5 is going to be like a Chris Reinhold, you need to have that guy Billy in there. You need to have him in there pushing the boundaries and getting the players going, getting the crowd going. Because let's be honest, you're going to be outnumbered 100-1 in there. You need somebody in there that's going to get your 100 people or whatever it is, your 100 Americans that make the trip there 75. To make it worth their while and get them going and get them bouncing. Yeah, Billy's got to be in there. But again, I don't know what the situation with him is, and I don't know how much how much of it's his own doing and how much of it is somebody else's doing. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah. The whole deal with the Moscone Cup, of course, is nationality, and in America, if you're known for being somewhat out there in sports on the fringes, not straight down the middle and confined and blue, white collar and all that, then you need this personality on your team. You need a Thorpe on your team for that.
Yep.
So it sounds like we are in. If Billy's eligible, it sounds like we're all in consensus that he needs to be there.
I still want Alex on the team.
Well, we could use Alex.
Somehow we have to get some Canadians on the team.
All right, so let's go to the next obvious one, or the next closest obvious one would be Chris Reinhold. What do we think, Jim?
I think he deserves another crack at it. I think he performed quite well first time round, but he didn't have the crowd there. You never really know how somebody is going to react in a Moscone atmosphere until they have the crowd there. So it will still be, I still would class him as a rookie, because what he did experience as a Moscone Cup last year is nothing like what the real Moscone Cup is. Same with Federer. If Federer gets picked again, he's basically a rookie again, because what they experienced last year is nothing like what they're going to experience this year. It's a completely different animal. And they'll feel it again when they come out there for the first time. So there's part of me that'd be quite interested to see if he handles it as well as what he seemed to handle it first time round. If I'm Double J, do I put him in? No, I don't. I go for experience and I pick Oscar.
Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, this one gets me a little because of some of the history, I think, between, you want team members that know each other, get along well. And there's been some friction in the past between Chris and Tyler. And so you're kind of inviting that into...
Well, I'll tell you this right now, that that's good. They've smoothed
that's
that.
past. Okay. So that history...
They're never going to be friends. They're never going to go get dinner together and hang out on the weekends, but they've smoothed over their problems between them.
Okay. I'll tell you what I like. I like Oscar's maturity, not just in the game, but in his life. Owning a pool hall. When you own a pool hall, you think, breathe, and live the game. I just spent 4 days with Pedro Bueno, and I learned that from him. It's part of your life. So now you're going to represent the United States, and you actually have a business. It's your livelihood. And not only that, you have a ton of talent. I can picture Oscar, if he got picked for this, putting in a superhuman effort in preparing for it. I can see him doing that, where I'm not so sure I can see Chris doing that. Sure, there'll be some preparation there, but it will be to the extent that Oscar puts in. I'm not so sure.
I think if I'm Double J, then what you would like to see from Oscar is that he uses his experience in the back room as well with the rest of the team, Yep. And Shane's going to be there as playing vice captain, so he's going to be having to be sharing his experience and stuff like that with the players. But it'd be nice for him to have somebody more from his own kind of era as well, if I can say that. I mean, not that Shane's era is over, but he's there as a senior member of the team, and then he's got 4 young guns who are pretty much spending the rest of the year trying to knock him off the top of the perch. So they're spending 364 weeks of the year trying to knock Shane off the top. Yeah,
that's a lot of weeks out of the year.
364 weeks out of the year. Trying to knock Shane off the top, and then all of a sudden Shane's there, and they've got to listen to him. And as much as there's a professional respect there, I think it's been nice for Shane as well to have somebody like Oscar, who's got the experiences more from his kind of age category, even a little bit older, to bounce some ideas off and to sort of support him. So then he doesn't feel like he's 1 against 4. Absolutely. Then he's more closer to a 2 against 3, and it's more of an even playing field if they're going to talk about stuff and they're going to discuss everything. I think it helps Shane. I think it's nicer for the team dynamic. Yeah. And I just, again, what you bring to the team off the table is just as important what you bring on the table. We all know Oscar. If they were to go to Oscar now and say, listen, you've got 2 months to get ready, he'll say, I'll be ready. He'll be as ready as he can be.
He will be.
But you want to get more out of him. You want to get more out of him than just playing, And yes. I think that's what a good captain does, and that's what a good vice captain does. They spot the extra stuff that a player can bring to the team. If you have a Shaw and a Filler who've got so much energy, they can go all day and all night playing pool. They've got so much energy. They don't actually expend that much of it on the table because they're so quick fire. So what you want to do is you want to bring that energy and say, okay, let's get that energy into the practice room, put that energy over onto your fellow players, your teammates, and get the whole thing going, not just what happens out on the table, So I personally, sorry, Chris, I think you did great last year, but I'd be going for experience and bringing Oscar in there just for the full package rather than just what happens on the table.
Yeah, you can't really downplay the team chemistry in a team tournament.
It's got to work. It's got to work.
You just can't downplay it. It's so important. You can take, I know teams that are not maybe the best individual players. You put them together, and there isn't anybody they can't beat. And these are amateur players I'm talking about, but still, even at a pro level, you got to have that. You really do. What Jim is talking about.
Yep, I agree with everything you just said. We are going to give our actual picks when we get back, but first we got to go to an ad break because, you know, someone's got to pay these bills around here. Ain't that right, Jim? Who's ready to do a Manscaped ad? Jim, are you ready to do a Manscaped ad?
I came prepared.
My balls are thanking me.
Oh, Jim, the battery just died on it. I didn't even know the batteries could die on this thing. I've been using this thing for 4.5 weeks, and the battery just died. What terrible timing.
4.5 weeks. Either you've got very small balls or you don't grow hair very quickly then.
Every single
I have to recharge mine after every side.
Oh, you like shaving the moon?
Yeah. You gotta get in everywhere. That's what the little torch is for.
Well, yeah,
that's what the torch is for. You gotta go deep, buddy. You gotta go deep.
You gotta dig
me.
real deep, don't you?
That's for you too.
The ladies will thank you. Your wives will thank you. Your girlfriends will thank you. Your boyfriends will thank you. And
even Rob will thank you.
Trust me.
Bless the Manscaped.
There you go. I tried to convince Rob to sing for us. Rob completely wrote an entire song about the Manscaped.
When the Manscaped comes back at the next episode, I will sing.
Well, this might be the last time because we got to talk about it. But this is going to be the last opportunity for people to support the podcast by getting themselves the Manscaped.
The Lawnmower 4.0. This thing is amazing.
Designed for groin grooming. It's
no double passing with this. Once over, and you're done. You don't need to go back and check again. And the best bit about it is it makes it look a little bit bigger when you're finished.
Refine the gentleman in you.
Sometimes you need that, Jim.
Manscaped.
Sometimes you need that.
Sometimes you need that little bit of extra help.
Imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. I'm one of the first people who get to try the Lawnmower 4.0.
And how does Alicia like it, Nate?
She hasn't kept her hands off me since getting it. She actually got fired from her job, and I had to lock the door just to keep her out right now. It's crazy. The craftsman and detail of the 4.0 is the next level. Manscaped engineers the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and incredible comfort grooming experience. The 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to our advanced skin-safe technology. I now feel confident shaving the boys. Yeah. Anyways, the upgraded trimmer includes a multifunctional on-off switch, which would turn on if the battery wasn't completely dead from using it for so long.
Mine's on.
There you have it.
Get the crop
preserver. Lots of other products.
Chafing.
Lots of other products. The upgraded trimmer includes a multifunctional on-off switch that can engage a traveling lock. It also gives the ability to turn on the 400K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The Lawnmower 4.0 even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard lengths, sizes 1 through 4. So if you want yourself a certain length for, the boys, you can get it. Did I mention wireless charging?
Too short.
And then there's the ball toner.
There you go. Did I mention wireless charging? The new wireless charging system allows electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. Men, if you're shaving with the same nut trimmer on your face,
you've been doing it wrong. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth. That's true.
Not your own pubes, anyway.
Good job.
I'm just saying.
It's time to get your own ball, hair, and body trimmer with Manscaped to make me time the best time and enhance your confidence with some nice, smooth boys. Get yourself 20% off plus free shipping with the code QItUpPod at manscaped.com. Check the chat. That's 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. And what's the tagline, Rob?
What's the tagline, Rob?
Your balls will thank you.
Thanks,
Your
Jim.
balls will thank you.
There you go. Someone's paying attention around here.
How do we do?
Well, that was ugly and embarrassing.
I think it was funnier than heck.
I agree.
Absolute riot. For not rehearsing everything.
Oh, yeah.
That is total ad lib. That is.
Oh, yeah.
Just, Saturday Night Live. Here we come, baby.
So there you go. And Cody, good on beard. I use it only for my face. So I actually use it as a face shaver.
What do you do for the hairs between your teeth?
I just floss with those.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that's good. You can get yours at manscaped.com with the code QItUp, and you can support this really phenomenal, terrible show because, this is outside money. We've been whining about outside money in pool for so long, and this could be it. So if you guys support it, we'll get it, and then we'll, buy beers with it and get even dumber
get
the next time we're on.
Manscaped. What do you
Together
want?
with the millionaires.
There it is. All right, so let's get back. Let's give our picks for Team USA. Rob, why don't you go first? Who you got? Who are your 5?
Okay, I'm running.
Cody Reddick says
I'm running out
yes.
of number 5s. I'm just lost on number 5. I've got Sky, Shane, Tyler, and Oscar. And if Billy is available, well then that's who it is. It's Sky, Shane, Tyler, Billy, and Oscar. That's what I got. If Billy wants to play. If he doesn't, then I'm lost. I don't know. I'd go with Chris.
All right, Jim, what you got?
Okay, Shane, Tyler. Yeah, Billy.
Well, I'd be obviously Sky and Shane. And then if you really want to give yourselves a chance of winning this, you'd probably go for, I don't know, Harry Potter, Gandalf, I don't know, Merlin. I mean, get yourself 3 magicians that can conjure up some sort of chance of winning this.
Or
short of those guys, I'm going with Tyler, Oscar, and I would take Billy as well if he's. I mean, we keep saying if he's available. I really don't know the situation, but that's about as good as it gets. If not, if for some reason that you can't get Billy, or if you really want to go out and think outside the box, then why not take Tony Chohan instead of Oscar?
Tony Chohan, I kind of like that pick. Jonathan Hennessy, that's what Jim Monday said. I don't think Jonathan Hennessy can play under a shot clock, a 30-second shot clock at that. I mean, that he's one of the slowest players I've ever seen in my entire life. He's a great talent, don't get me wrong. I mean, he plays super strong. But, I mean, you can't. I don't know that you can throw that guy on a 30-second shot clock and have it end nicely. So I actually like that pick. I like Tony Chohan. I like Shane, Sky, Tyler, Chris, and Tony. That's who I like. That's my pick. That's my Team USA. Huh?
So no Billy. Who's your cheerleader? Who's your guy that gets the crowd going?
I don't think we need to get all 6 of us going, right? I mean, how many Americans are in the crowd?
You'll all be sleeping halfway through day 2 anyway.
Jim, we were both in the crowd the last time they had a real Moscone Cup in Ali Pali. How many American fans were in there?
As long as Tyler's mum's there, then there's enough noise for everybody. Sorry, Skylar's mum.
She's got to go on.
As long as Deb's there, then she'll get the crowd going.
Yep.
She does her own cheerleading.
If I have to do it myself, Jim, I'll do it myself.
You'll be quiet while you're sitting beside me. Show some respect. Shut your mouth.
So we're gonna sit by each other. Should we just save this spot and just sit on each other's lap?
You could manscape each other.
Rob, you always take it too far, don't you?
Dueling
yeah,
manscape.
Rob, grow up. Grow up, Rob.
You dirty old man.
Grow up. So, yeah, and I'm not questioning that Jonathan Hennessy is a good player. I just questioning Jonathan Hennessy being a good player on a 30-second shot clock because I don't think he's ever taken a shot in under 50 minutes in his entire life.
Has he ever played on a team?
I don't know.
Seems like
to
a
be
bit
honest,
of
I
a
think
loner.
most Americans have. I think that in America, the team play is quite normal for everybody. I think whether or not they all get on with each other or not, but to play team matches and stuff like that is quite standard. I think in the States, isn't it?
Yeah.
Matt D'Angelo, Bergman has already been ruled out. Bergman will not be on Team USA because he refuses to travel. He has not left his pool room since. I don't even remember the last time he left. When was the last time he didn't even go to the Texas Open last year? I don't think he's left for a tournament in over a full year, a full calendar year.
He didn't go to the World Championships.
Probably,
didn't even
probably
go to the
since the US Open last year or the International Open last year, probably.
Cody, I think.
Deshane will never play in a matchroom event ever again.
Deshane will never play in a matchroom event again. He is finding out, as other players have found out in the past, if you do not bite the hand that feeds you, or you will be left behind. And Deshane has joined that group of players who will be ignored by Matchroom from now on. He's not the only one. There's a high-profile European player in that group of players as well. But no, Deshane will not be invited to any Matchroom events anymore.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You got the flag behind you, pal.
German.
You've got the flag behind you. Yeah.
A certain German, right?
A certain German who according to, if I believe most of the posts that I see on Facebook and a lot of the questions, he should probably be playing for the USA since he's lived there for the majority of his life. But no.
Yeah, he's been living in New York for a long time now, right?
Yeah. But he won't play. He won't play in Matchroom again either. Yeah.
So why not Jeremy? I'm assuming you mean Jeremy Sosi in that one. Jeremy. I mean, I don't understand Americans. I just don't get it. Like, how can the biggest tournament, if you ask any American player what the biggest tournament of the entire world is, every single one of them is going to say the U.S. Open. Now, if you ask a European, you're going to get some changes in there, but you're still going to even get some U.S. Opens out of the Europeans as well. Jeremy Sosi and Justin Bergman, neither one of them showed up for that event. Now, from what I heard, Jeremy Sosi had some family issues that he had to back out at the last second for. I completely understand that. But it's the U.S. Open, man. How can you not play in the U.S. Open if you want to play in the Moscone Cup? You just can't do it. You got to have a showing. He had a great showing in the World 9-ball. I get that, but I haven't seen him in a tournament.
His name was mentioned by us. It was mentioned by other people as a possible Moscone Cup pick after what he did at the World 9-ball Championships. If he cares about playing the Moscone Cup, then he goes to the US Open. Now, you said there's family issues. I'm not going to make a judgment call on how serious they are. That's not for me to say. He may be it may be that I would made the same decision. I don't know what his issue was, but you know, it's a big shame for him if family issues have stopped him going to the US Open because he put his name in the hat. And if he'd gone to the US Open and just had a half decent result there, he'd probably get picked.
He would be in hands down. I know that to be true. If he would have had, like, let's say he made a final 32 showing, he would have been on the team.
Yeah. So it's a shame for him if family issues have stopped him. If he's made the choice himself and is just saying he had family issues, then he just doesn't care about Moscone Cup, which is fine as well, But then you probably never get considered for it again. Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's potentially a huge opening on Team USA too this year because we've already discussed. I mean, Billy may or may not even be available, and Justin Bergman is already out. So two of the top 4 best players in the U.S.
Nice.
At least eligible for the Moscone Cup players aren't going to be playing. So
I see some comments here about why Corey not being mentioned in the conversation with this.
Corey Deuel's had his chance.
Yeah.
We've seen what that looks like.
Right.
I'm not trying to dog on the guy, but he hasn't. I bet he's 20% to win a point in the last 4 years, and that might be high.
Corey has been a fantastic servant for Team USA at the Moscone Cup. He's given some of the most memorable moments at the Moscone Cup, and he's been brilliant for Team USA. But like everything else, I'm sorry to say, possibly Shane. Not Shane. Sorry, Niels. You've also had Darren Appleton. At the end of the day, as good as you are and all the achievements you have, at the end of the day, the end comes. And for me, the end has come for Corey. And to be honest, he's probably played a couple of extra that he really shouldn't have played in, just because there's nobody else.
Well, there was others, but politics got in the way.
Yeah.
John Gruden. That's funny. We can use him as a coach.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But I agree with you about Corey. I think his performance over time now you can see is dwindling.
Yeah.
His ability to perform under extreme pressure. He's still a great talent. There's no question about that. But it's that ability to take that moment in time when the pressure is the greatest and perform to your highest level at that same time. And that's a true champion. He was at one time for sure, but there is something with age and your ability to do that that just happens.
Yep. And
can I just make a quick reply to Jim Mundy? Jim Mundy is putting here saying we should be able to use players from Canada, being as how Europe has so many players to pull from. I understand what you're saying, Jim, but you're completely wrong. If you want to have Canada there to make it continent against continent, then I can kind of understand that. But it's a Moscone Cup and it's USA against Europe. Now, if you're talking about the fact that Europe has so many players to pull from, then I suggest you go and investigate a little bit, and you will find that in America, there is almost 2 or 3 times as many pool players playing the game in America as in Europe. You have twice as many pool halls in America than we do have in the entirety of Europe. It's a tiny game in Europe. Europe is snooker. Pool is quite a small game in Europe. The fact that we have more good players than you is because they play it professionally and don't just gamble and bum around. That's the reason why we've got so many players to pick from, so many good players to pick from. But you actually have a bigger pool of pool players.
And I don't like.
Let me ask you something.
Just popped into my head. One second, Rob, because I don't like hearing this. I don't like hearing this argument for a different reason. If you look at the Moscone Cup has happened, I think 26 years now, and the overall number is 13-13.
Mm-hmm.
So the U.S. and Europe have won the exact same amount of times. The problem is Europe has won 9 of the last 11. So now we think that it's the U.S. needs help, but if they won 9 of the last 11, that basically means that we won, 11 or 12 of the first whatever. So, I mean, we're at a rut right now, but the point is, and it's not looking good for the future, the near future at least. But the point is like, it's still competitive. It's just not competitive this year, and it hasn't been competitive over the entire duration of it. You just go in big swings. So I just want to point that out too. We've won the exact same amount as Europe.
Is there any countries in Europe that invest in their like soccer? I know they do somewhat, but in pool, government back the players or
no. You
Poland
basically
and the Netherlands.
Basically, the federations, the pool federations in each country, are pretty much responsible for creating their own financial budget. They don't really. They can get sponsorships from certain places, but it's never really very big. And the players basically have to look after themselves. You don't win anything for a national title or anything like that. It's just the honor. Maybe you go to even a European title. You win no money for winning a European title. A Euro Tour is €3,500 euros for winning a Euro Tour. It's considered the biggest tournament in the year. The Euro Tours because the Moscone Cup points. The money's not there. The money, the European players that want to earn money, they come to America to try and earn the money. And it's actually easier for them to earn big paychecks there rather than fight for the small paychecks in Europe. And the idea that we just have more players to choose from is absolute nonsense. The fact is that we've got the where you sit, if this is your bog standard completely rubbish pool player and this is your top player, in Europe, we've got a smaller amount of players, but they're concentrated here. Whereas in the States, they're concentrated here, and then you have a very few that are up here.
That's correct.
Now, that's just because that's application. That's the system, perhaps, for the youth. It's a much better system within each country within Europe for the youth and bringing them through. It's professionalism. There's not such a gambling culture here in the USA as in the USA. Over in Europe, it is very much just tournament pool. And if you want to be a successful professional, you have to learn to play tournament pool. And too many of your players who are considered as fantastic players, and we hear all about, they don't play enough tournament pool. They just play matches. They just sing individual matches, long races, and just try and build up prize pots through backers and stuff like that. I ain't going to win your tournaments, that kind of behavior. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's up to you. But then don't turn around and say, well, we should be allowed to bring in Canada because of Europe have just got more players. We don't. We've got less players than you. They're just better.
I'm not really sure what that statement from Jim is there. If more kids grew up wanting to play professional pool in the U.S., we would smoke Europe every year. What would that look like? Yeah. I mean, Fargo-wise, what would that look like? Because if you look at, the Europe can field 5 players above 8'10", right? No problem at all, basically. So what would that have to look like? The U.S. can field 5 players over an 8'30", Fargo. To smoke them, you'd have to be 8'30", 8'40", maybe even 8'50". What does that look like? I don't really understand what that looks like. Like the Americans would have to be, we'd have to have 5 Americans better than any player has ever been ever to smoke 5 players that are above 5 or 8'10". I just don't understand what that looks like.
And even before you get there, the first thing you're going to have to do is turn around to these kids and actually tell them what it means to be a professional pool player, because your role models, the majority of your role models in the States suck at showing the youngsters how they need to behave and what it takes to be a professional sportsman of any sort, let alone a pool player.
Yeah.
If you look at the role models that they have and the things that they do and the way they behave and how the game is brought forward in the States, I don't think that a kid growing up really has an idea what it takes to be a professional pool player. Yeah. I mean,
Tyler,
that's just my opinion. I don't want to bash on the American system. It is what it is, but you see what it brings in the long run. And I think very much in Europe, we look at the long-term goals, whereas in America, it's very much the short term. How do I earn money quickly, and how do I get it? How do I get my bank balance up, and how do I, I don't care about the long term. Like Tyler cares about the long term. He's working hard. He's building a career, and then you've got a lot of other players there just looking around the next week, saying, "Oh yeah, where can I get my next money match for 30 grand? Where can I get my backers for so I can get a bit of money in my pocket?" That's all they're looking at. They're not looking at the future.
Well, and like to say that people that grow up in Europe don't want to be professionals, and they only want, like, I'm just not sure what his argument is, because in Europe,
it's one of those that I've seen these discussions and arguments so often, and
I think you want to grow up in Europe to be the best soccer player, right? I mean, that just happens to be the most popular sport in Europe, right? So if you want to grow up and be a professional soccer player, then you're going to grow up and be a professional soccer player. Like, I'm not sure how that, and if you show, I mean, every single one of the European countries basically smokes the U.S. in soccer. So I'm not really sure what the argument is here. Are we making the argument that the U.S. sucks because we can't field the team that wants to be professional, and Europe does? I mean, I'm not really sure what's going on here. Of course, we have the best baseball, basketball, and football players because those are the sports that are popular in the U.S. So
no, because you monopolize the entire world with those sports through the money that you have there, so everybody comes to play there.
Yeah, and everybody grows up with their heroes being Tom Brady and LeBron James and Michael Jordan, and I get it.
I like Laura's comment here, and she's made some other comments that I like also, and I do see a slow trend coming down the road for America with pool.
Mm-hmm.
And it is leaning toward what Jim was talking about. It isn't going to happen overnight, but I see some training, some discipline, some schools for pool, some players who are starting to do that kind of thing here. Demetrius is one of them, where they have regular boot camps for players, and they're teaching them more than just how to play the game. They're teaching them how to earn respect from playing the game, and teaching them how to have character. And it's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to see it tomorrow, next year, or whatever. But in the next 5 years, we're going to see some young players from the United States that are going to be are going to be that kind of pool player that Jim was talking about, that the Europeans have.
I don't like this money argument either, where like nobody wants to play pool because there's no money in it. I mean, there's no money in European pool. Jim already said it. Like, if you want to make money in Europe, what do? You come to America. Like, there's actual money in pool in America. There's not a lot. I mean, you're never going to make millions of dollars, but you can make tens of thousands of dollars in a couple of months playing in the U.S. I just don't understand how, like, tell somebody who's passionate about what they're doing to stop doing it. Like, it doesn't matter if it's money, if it's like, how many times do you tell somebody who's an alcoholic or a drug addict, like, that's your friend, that's, you got to stop doing this, but they can't stop doing it because they're addicted to it, right? Like, if it was that easy, they wouldn't do it at all. Pool is kind of the same way, right? I mean, tell somebody who's addicted to playing pool and has to go play pool all the time and get as better, as good as they could possibly get, to stop playing pool. It just doesn't work, right? This money thing, it's a real argument as far as like getting into the game, maybe like why you would get into the game. But the idea that like money is stopping people from becoming top pool players it's a load of rubbish to me. I hate that argument. I didn't care when I was getting better at the game, and I was addicted to it for like 10 years when I was a kid, and all I wanted to do was play pool. Money had nothing to do with it. It was just the venture to get better at the game and to become the best I can be. That's what drove me, not money. Just my thought.
Well, what I like is mainly the instant gratification. When that ball goes in the hole, you are gratified. And how many times can you do it? Well, you can do it 9 times in a game of 9 ball. You do it 10 times in a game of 10 ball.
Wow, your break sucks, Rob.
I mean,
let's be honest. At what age does somebody decide I'm going to be a professional pool player? Nobody decides when they're 13, 14 years old that they're going to be a professional pool player. You wait until you get to a certain standard and you start to get in and you start playing tournaments and you see there's a potential. And when somebody gets you under their wing and say, listen, I see a potential in you. I want to work with you. Let's have a look at let's do that. That's when you make a decision on whether you're going to take it up professionally. By that time, you're way past the ages of 14, 15. You're way past any... It's all bullshit excuses for players and people who are not willing to work hard. It's as simple as that. And this is where if everybody in the States had the same attitude as Tyler Steyer, you'd have a Moscone Cup winning team already. But they don't. For sure. They don't.
Yeah, because unfortunately,
if Tyler can be as good as he is with the limited, and I don't mean
he's not naturally talented like
the limited talent he has. Can you imagine the talent that Sky has together with the work rate of Tyler?
Yeah,
you've got an 820.
You'd have Shane Van Boning. You've got an 820
Fargo player there. Then you've got a player that can knock Shane off the top of the ranking. So don't give me the bullshit about all these excuses. If you're willing to work hard and you're lucky enough to have the talent, you'll get there. Now, there's plenty of people that have got the talent who will not work hard. And there's plenty of people who work hard but don't have the talent. Now, you need to have both of them. You need to have both of them. And you're very lucky if you've got the talent, because that's just something you're born with and you've done nothing to deserve it. But make the most of it then and work your ass off. Work hard. Don't just sit back and say, I can make money around in my local pool hall and then moan later on when the Europeans come over and take all your money out of your tournaments.
And you want to separate.
All of a sudden, you've got to play against real players to win that 10 grand that you've been winning every other year when you've just gone around there just robbing off your own guys. No, don't moan about it afterwards. Get some else. Anyway, I'm going to go now because I'm going to get upset.
Oh, no.
We're all done here.
And I've got to go. I said 2:30 and it's now 10:02.
Okay.
Yep, we can wrap this up. Yeah, that's pretty much all we had to talk about. So there
We
you
can
have it.
talk
We
some
talked
more,
about the
though.
Moscone Cup.
Everybody, go shave your balls.
We're talking pool.
Yes, go over to manscaped.com and get yourself the Lawnmower 4.0, because if you guys get this, we actually will get some funding for the podcast. That would be amazing.
Hey, you buy
Head
a
over.
Lawnmower 4.0 and my balls will thank you.
Yes. Here you go. Head over right now to manscaped.com and get yourself a Lawnmower 4.0 with code QItUpPod, and you get to hear more of us be idiots on advertising. And I know how much Jim likes that.
I'm just wondering if Jim Mundy is that somebody who's just taking the piss out of us now? Because he's now said that Filler and Shaw should be playing for the USA anyway. I think this is somebody we know who's gone in on a fake account and is just trying to say stupid stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
See you, Jim.
I don't know. All right, head over to manscaped.com with code QItUpPod and get yourself a Manscaped right now. Don't dawdle. Get those balls clean, and we're going to head out of here. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you later.
Nota knows what she's talking about. Listen to Nota.
Good luck and goodbye.